G'day everyone, welcome back to the Zero Access Footy Podcast. We're here once again for episode 39, which is going to officially be our second last proper podcast episode of the year. So we are going to have content coming throughout the rest of the year. However, today we are going to be looking at the draft and obviously where everyone's landed, because with these guys going to their teams now, we can have a look at our big surprises. We can do a little bit of comparison to our mocks, but at the same time, we've compiled a little bit of an idea as to who we think did the best compared to others. I guess in the most positive sense, there's a lot more winners than there are losers.
Yeah.
I think a lot more teams did well than they did poorly, but
Agreed.
in a season and in a draft that didn't have too much risk involved, as everyone was under the impression that it wasn't going to be too fantastic of a draft, everyone's kind of given a bit of leniency. So, with that being said, we're going to have a look just at the general standpoints of the draft that came around on the 18th and 19th, wasn't it? The 18th and 19th. I believe so.
It was the 19th and 20th.
That's it.
Yep.
Easy. No worries. Night one, though, of course, everyone was saying it. Everyone knew it from the get-go. Willem Dersma was to go number one. He is officially a West Coast Eagle. And he was presented his jersey by Harley Reid, which probably a family affair not too long from now. So that's a nice moment nonetheless.
Wouldn't have been the first time they'd met.
I'd imagine so. But alongside that one, and obviously there are a couple more picks in there, but alongside the Dersma pick, West Coast also picked up CDT, Cooper Duff-Tytler, who was one that had been always linked towards the top. We had seen him falling a little bit more and more as the season went on, but I'm not mad at the pick from West Coast. In fact, I actually really like the pairing of Dersma and CDT heading off to West Coast together.
Yeah, I mean, as it sort of got closer to the draft, as Cal started making his Phantom 4 guides, you could tell that they were more confident in getting him. Whether he becomes a ruckman or a key forward, we'll have to wait and see. That's based off of their development more so than anything. But obviously, they get the dancer in Willem Dersma.
Yeah, the dancer.
Yeah, the tap dancer.
Oh, yes, I remember that. I remember hearing about that. I'm like, fair enough. I haven't seen someone come in with that much footy talent, with that kind of background. It's good, I guess, for dealing with big crowds and stuff like
Being
that.
able to get out of stoppages certainly helps.
Yeah, the twinkle toes, I heard.
Yeah.
Call it.
Don't call it twinkle toes.
But one of the biggest surprises for me, because this happened between our mock draft and the night of the draft, Harry Dean had a late rise to be bid at pick 3.
There were always rumors, and it was always like, I don't really believe it.
Yeah.
So I just feel like they wouldn't do that. And then as it got closer, as Cal started saying it, like, okay, maybe they do. And then they ended up they bid on Harry Dean. They didn't dib on Harry Bean. I said no.
Oh my God.
I said
was that on
purposely.
purpose?
Yes, that
Jesus
was on purpose.
Christ.
I said I was making fun of my
oh
mistakes.
my God.
Yeah, I'm not that dumb.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, Carlton sort of got away with it in the end because of the 2 trades they made. Overall, it was pretty successful for them in the end.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised overall by how many of the clubs rated the academy players a lot higher than what any other person that I'd looked at. You look at Dylan Alexander, you look at Zero Hanger and John T. Rouse-Smith, who we had on the pod. They all sort of had these other players like the Ollie Greaves and in that sort of range, Mitch Marsh. Whereas all the clubs, they had these Harry Kyles, they had Bo Adams, or they had Taj Murray. They all had them a lot higher than anyone else did. And I was really surprised by that. And it sort of showed in the end. That's what Cal came out with. And then on the draft night, it was pretty similar to overall what happened there.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised by how highly clubs rated those players.
Well, there were some clubs who literally did not draft a player who wasn't from their academy. Gold Coast is the biggest example. And sure, you could say that the reason that's the case is because they just had so much of their talent be like a high crop. They were in the top crop of the entire draft pool. So it's like, why even bother with working out where you land throughout the season or what trades you can make? You just got to work on how much do I need to get these players back? And so that seems to be a lot of teams, I guess, game plan. The ones that I'm thinking that didn't go by this all that much, Essendon, because they let Adam Swade go.
Yeah.
You think of
Sydney
Richmond.
let Lockie Carmichael go.
Yeah, Lockie Carmichael ended up going to the Dogs. But teams like Essendon didn't really worry about it, even for both the reason of they didn't pick up their academies and they had high draft picks already. Richmond, high draft picks. West Coast, of course, because they had 1 and 4. So there was a nice mix of teams who relied on just the natural talent of the draft, as well as those teams really hunting academy picks. So
yeah, absolutely.
a nice little, I guess, talking point to springboard off when we do have a look at our, I guess, absolute winners of the draft, in our opinions.
Another sort of talking point as well that got slightly put under the radar a little bit was Adelaide's attempt to trade up and take Dyson Sharp, which is what I had them doing in our mock draft.
Yeah, you did.
I just didn't have Essendon taking Dyson Sharp.
Yeah.
But I got that one's pretty much spot on.
If it wasn't for the reasons they had denied it, then you would have been spot on. But I like that a lot of the things that you kind of had a hunch on seem to work out. You're going to talk a bit about your Sam Grilled pick.
I also did have Hawthorn trading back, which I did.
Yes.
But they did it twice.
But I feel like that was a bit more like well known now. I think a lot more people kind of expected that one to kick in. But at the same time, nonetheless, good call. Very, very good call. Dyson Sharp ended up being a bit of a talking point because of how hard Adelaide fought for him.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. It really does make sense. But Dyson Sharp, I found out, was an Essendon fan growing up.
So I was born in Adelaide, so that's taking a bit of balls.
Yeah, I know. He's a bit torn. His hometown team wants to take him, but his favourite team is holding firm. And that's kind of been the theme with Essendon as of late. They have really made it a aim to not let people push through them.
I want to just say this. You could say this is absolute hater right here. But Essendon is so bad that they had to take 2 top 10 players who had to barrack for Essendon and wouldn't leave in Dyson Sharp and Sullivan Road.
2 childhood Essendon fans, and they go, "You wouldn't leave us, would you?" No, look, it's realistically smart drafting in a sense. Yeah. They know why they're taking Dyson Sharp, not 100%. Just for the talent and the leadership, but they've got the links to him in some type of way. Probably one of the bigger talking points as well from night one, Latrell Pickett rose to 12 to go to Melbourne. Yeah. And it was funny, that one, in the sense that we were under the impression that Freo would take him for the same reason that Melbourne took him.
Yeah.
We thought it would go the other way because we never thought in our wildest dreams that Latrell would go above players like Dyson Sharp. We thought,
or even Lockie Doverston.
Yeah, exactly. We thought for certain Latrell Pickett would find himself outside of those names, like on the other side. But clearly Melbourne, they're okay with spending this year. Well, we wouldn't say spending the year bad. Latrell Pickett could be a fantastic talent. Absolutely has the ability and the space down in that forward line to really make a name for himself and put his stamp on his game during his first season. But I feel like Dyson Sharp would have been a great pick there too.
I feel like everyone thought Dyson Sharp was going to be a good pick there. It'd be interesting if they both end up leaving.
God, if they both
that's
left,
an absolute horror show.
God.
But, you know.
You can at least understand the reason for why Melbourne have done it. I just didn't think they'd do it. That's all.
Neither.
And so that's why I think a lot of it is surprising to me with that one.
Yeah.
But now into the faller side of things, because I've mentioned a few names here. Probably the biggest faller that still got drafted was Archie Ludwig. I think he was the one that everyone talked about.
He did his PCL sort of July-ish, and that sort of somehow ruined his stock completely.
Yeah.
Which nowadays, knee injuries aren't that bad.
Yeah, and it's also like, we look at someone like Harley Barker, who's not going to be playing all that much in his first season. He's still recovering from that knee injury as well.
He did his ACL.
He got drafted exactly where he needed to, or exactly where he's expected. He didn't fall.
No.
So Harley Barker look, I think Harley Barker's going to be a good talent, and he's in a great place at Geelong to work on his game and to get himself to match fitness. He can work on that.
Yeah.
But
for a little while.
Archie Ludwig, he fell to Adelaide. Adelaide picked up some nice forwards. And it's like, how did he get to Adelaide?
Yeah. We'll talk about Adelaide shortly because I feel like it's very interesting with how they drafted. But
Jack Eisen is another one.
Jack Eisen
because he's on the opposite end of Harry Dean.
Yeah.
It almost middled itself out with Carlton.
A little bit, yeah. A lot of people sort of expected him to go mid-20s. That's where we had him. And he just dropped to late 40s, which was very interesting. Javon Philippou wasn't rated in the top 30 according to Cal Toomey, dropped to 35. But then the two really that was seen as top 20 prospects for a lot of the season were Ollie Greaves and Noah Hibbins-Hargreaves.
Yeah.
Ollie obviously got drafted by Hawthorn in the preseason draft.
Yeah. Greaves was the big one for me.
Yeah.
I had my eye on Noah Hibbins-Hargreaves, and like some of the boys that I coached basketball for know Noah because he was part of that Dandenong Stingrays group. So they were really excited and going, oh, I wonder where he's going to get drafted. When I didn't see his name at all, because I know I'd seen his name in those Phantom guys, I'm wondering, what did these boys do? Or is there anything they did? Was it just people started to think there were some risks that they were trying to work out that stopped them, or they saw something better in a different option? I don't know, but it's very surprising to see both of those two miss it, especially considering how long they were on everyone's radar for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of makes me think of like the likes of Max King, who midway through the year was so highly rated and then just fell off a cliff, but in a more extreme version for these two guys. So a tough scenario for these guys to deal with, but they will be available for the mid-season draft. I wouldn't be surprised to see Noah be picked up there.
Absolutely, he'll spend time in the VFL. Some club, maybe like Williamstown or something, will pick him up.
Yeah,
and he should be able to sort of put his head down and really go hard for that mid-season draft.
But Greaves, in the sense, he's picked up by Hawthorn. For those who did not catch that one.
Yeah, done a little bit of draft review.
Yes,
and now it is time to go into a tier list of sorts for the actual draft. We are grading teams. Well, not grading teams, but sort of ranking
them. We thought about grading them, but we've done grading so often, and it's also hard to really knuckle down a grade.
Yeah.
And like I said, this was a very lenient draft for teams. This was a draft where you really couldn't miss that badly.
Yeah.
And even the considered losers for both of us, not much of a loser per se. It's just maybe a missed opportunity or maybe a pick that could have gone elsewhere for a better spot in their team.
Yeah. We've separated this into 5 tiers. Realistically 4, but 5 tiers.
Yeah.
We've gone absolute winners, a good haul, an average haul, losers, and then did nothing. Which, if you weren't already in the know, that spot belongs to one person. And one team.
that did nothing spot belongs to literally just one team.
Yeah.
And if you're paying any attention, have a look through. If you don't know already, have a look through the draft order and tell me the team that's missing.
Yeah. Well, we might as well get started with our absolute winners. We both have 4 teams here.
Yeah.
Who was your absolute winner? The number one.
The number one winner for me, I think, had to be West Coast in this scenario because I think they picked, like I said, I really like the duo of Willem Dersma and CDT going together. I think they're both really, really nice pickups. I know when we had our discussions, the idea that they didn't have enough midfield depth, they didn't pick up enough midfielders in this draft, came up in discussion. But I think when you're picking up the like of Dersma, you've already got Harley Reid. I think it's Elijah Hewitt is looking to try and get himself in there. You do have a little bit of depth. You know, Elliot Yeo isn't anything fantastic, but he's some experience to get in there. There's others around the ground who would look to get in there. Liam Baker will probably get some rotation.
Tim Kelly's technically still there.
Tim Kelly's technically still there, but I would hope that he gets out of that rotation at this rate. He is unfortunately just falling further and further from grace. But I like the top 2 picks. I think if they had picked up another midfielder, sure, it would have been good. But I'm really excited with the CDT pick. I think he can really lock down a role. And personally, I think that ruck role is made for him. I know that he has been considered, and even by us, not a master of either of them. But CDT is looking like a really, really exciting all-around player. And you mentioned Tim English, but he does. If others have mentioned Luke Jackson, if he does hit that Luke Jackson potential, God, how good would that be for West Coast?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to take a bit to develop him. I don't know if he plays day one. Maybe they want to keep him in the waffle to sort of get him solidified into one position.
Yep.
But you certainly can't fault them. The overall talent, I think, is awesome. They got in a couple later picks as well. Tyler Williams, that was part of their academy and father-son. Didn't go for Charlie Benfield, which I thought was interesting, but they went with Sam Allen, who's pretty similar, except for he's slightly less aerial dominant. Both are going to project to be future wingers. I mean, the only concern I do have with West Coast is could they have gone for someone like Ollie Greaves in the preseason draft? Obviously, they went for Fred Rodriguez, who's sort of similar player, but has shown it at Waffle Colts level, not at Champs level, which is the only real difference there.
Yep.
I can't really criticize them. I've got them at 3 as well.
Yeah. Now, we both have somewhat similar scenarios. Oh, well, you haven't actually gone through your one yet. You had him at 3.
No,
you
yeah,
said.
I had Gold Coast at 1.
Yeah.
When you start the night with 15, 18, 24, 28, 29, trade 2 future thirds, for 48 and 49, and you end up with pick 2 and pick 5, you can't not be winners.
Yeah.
And then you consider they got pick 16 or something like that, and a whole range of others as well. I cannot fault what they did in any manner. They got 2 top 5 talents, starting off with 15, 18, and 24.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
They
And
pulled
that's
it off.
A
They
huge
did very
issue
well.
with the draft. It's a huge issue with the draft.
Well, I'm looking at what they like at most of these guys' listed positions. It's a lot of midfielders, and I'm just thinking, sure, it's depth. How many of them get a game on day
100%.
one?
Probably
You think all of them get a game?
No. I'm agreeing with your point. Ewland probably arguably plays on the wing. Dylan Patterson probably plays similar.
Yeah.
One of them would replace Lockie Weller eventually. I don't think any of the others really like. I don't think Bo Adensol plays early.
Mhm.
I don't think Taj Murray plays early.
Jai Murray.
Jai Murray. And I don't think Kobe Coulson plays early either.
Yeah.
So I think it's those top 2 that are the closest.
And Avery Thomas is a 185 centimeter defender listed here. The only non-academy pick from the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah, they traded up to get him.
That's going to be really interesting to see if they decide to go with him early on.
Probably not. I think Joel Jeffrey,
so
Bodie Ewland sort of played that similar role.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think there's too many experienced players already who are going to stop him from getting it day one. But yeah,
Anyway.
Ewland, Patterson.
Yep. Number 2. Another absolute winner from this draft.
Yeah.
Mine is Essendon. When you start the night with technically pick 5 and 6, but ended up being, 9 and 10.
Yeah.
And then you also have 21, 27, and 30. That becomes pick 9. Originally pick 9, ended up 13. I think you end up really positive winners. I don't think having a bid on Adam Sweet and accepting that would have helped them in any chance. I just don't think he fits with their current midfield or their future midfield, to be honest. And then I also think what you consider they got in El Ashkar later on afterwards, who was another of their NGA players, who's going to be a good small forward and pair nicely alongside Isaac Kako. I think overall they've done well. Max Kondoyanis as well. There were rumours they would go for Xavier Taylor. He's a BTEC version of him, and you still ended up with 3 top 10 players. They got 3 top 10 picks in the open pool from picks 5, 6, 21, 27, 30.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic drafting for them.
And as we mentioned before, they have, I think, very smartly seeked out players who have already links to Essendon.
Yeah.
The reason, I think, them holding off Dyson Sharp, I was critical of the Zach Merritt scenario. I think it's the opposite for Dyson Sharp. I think it's very good that they held on to Dyson because there's a reason to. He's got hope. He's got leadership. There's something there with Dyson Sharp. And then Sullivan Roby as well. Like, those are 2 fantastic names who already love the club. Add in Jacob Farrow, who's going to almost definitely get some games early on. Like,
he's going to be a serious gun.
It's hard to see who doesn't play.
He and Archie Roberts off halfback will make a really nice pair, I think, and could be similar to like a Dane Zorko and Darcy Wilmot.
Yeah, Essendon, I think, are going to be very, very, very happy with their outcome for 2025. For me, however, I have picked Hawthorn as number 2. Aiden Schubert, I had talked about him a lot. I really, really liked him in the coming into it all because he was a high disposal key forward getter.
Yeah,
that's going to be really, really exciting to add alongside a potential aging out Jack Gunston. Fingers crossed he's still at his peak next year. We have a look at the likes of Mitchell Lewis, who's been struggling to fire at times just due to injuries. We've also looked at Marbior Chol, who's a little inconsistent. Kausha Deer, who can find some struggles here and there. But Aiden Schubert is just another option for them to go to, and I think one with much higher upside than some of them. Like I said, high disposal getter, really involved with the play. I think he is a future centre half forward lock, like gun for this team. And then Cameron Nan. You were big on Cameron Nan.
He was rumoured to go to Melbourne at pick 12.
Exactly.
So when he fell to them at 19?
20.
20, yeah. Absolutely take that for them.
Yeah.
They also traded back.
They made a lot out of a scenario where they didn't need to pick well. They made a lot out of a really struggled scenario. And so I give them a lot of credit for picking up 2 really nice players. Jack Dalton and Matt Leray,
I like both of them.
They are
Dalton didn't
good.
show a lot. Obviously, had the potential, and then Matt Leray
But
sort
it's
of was a
more
bit of a
like-
slider in the end.
Yeah, it's more like I don't know where I see these guys getting a spot in the team.
Yeah,
because
but they can develop it at Box Hill,
obviously. Yeah.
I do want to say, when you consider they started with 10 and 22, got 2 seconds for next year, and still ended up with Cam Nan, who was seen as a top 15 prospect by some clubs, and the best key forward in this draft in Aiden Schubert. Pretty good draft overall.
It's a fantastic draft.
I had them at 4.
And they traded back
absolutely
too.
agree.
They traded
Yeah.
back. So they were able to get themselves some
Yeah.
more picks for the future.
Yeah,
I think it's a
100%.
fantastic scenario for them.
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't lose in any of their picks.
Nah.
West Coast, I had at 3. I talked about them in depth a fair bit with yours, so not much to go over there.
Yeah, and then for me, I had Gold Coast at 3,
Yeah,
so we just switched spots at 1.
Yeah, the only
same reasons for
yeah.
all except for me. I think I, as you can probably tell, I'm valuing who's going to be playing day 1 a fair bit, or at least playing a lot
Yeah.
of games in
Okay.
season 1.
Yeah.
I'm valuing that a little bit. And while I really like how many academy picks and all the talent they have, Zeke Euland's going to be great, Dylan Patterson's going to be great. I am thinking like I only see 2 of them really getting themselves like at least half a season if
Yeah.
everything goes well. And then others will get put in periodically.
Yeah, the only reason I have West Coast not in the top 2 is because I don't think they got their biggest list need, which is an in and under midfielder.
Yes, and I think I'd mentioned
At
that
the
as
high
well.
end.
Yeah, easy as. And then,
Yeah.
funny enough, for spot number 4, I've got Essendon.
I've got Hawthorn.
Yeah, and for same reasons. You convinced me. I very much need to check myself when it comes to Essendon's like stuff because. Yeah, the fact that they ended up with Sullivan Roby and Dyson Sharp, I think that is a really, really fantastic haul. Easily understand the argument for 2. Easily understand it. So, I maybe need to just put down the haterade and accept them as who they are. But, yeah, look, I think lots to look forward to for Essendon.
Is that
this
a
job.
term?
Yeah, haterade.
I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, I've been drinking the haterade, man.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I've just been a hater. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, well, yeah.
Am I wrong though? Am I wrong?
No.
I have been a little bit,
No.
but I'm just very. I've still got the Zach Merritt night in my head from that day. That was just a wild night. Either way, those are our 4 absolute winners. They're all the same teams, just in different spots.
Yeah.
So well done to West Coast, Hawthorn, Gold Coast, Essendon.
Mhm.
But now we go to spot 5 and the first of good haul.
Yep.
Any way you'd kind of define this one, you'd say that it's like a
Did what they were expected to, and maybe slightly better.
yeah.
They
okay.
got the plays they got, and then they got maybe 1 or 2 extras, something like that.
Exactly right. Funny enough, this is the first one that we have come to agreement on.
Yep.
We have both said at number 5, Brisbane.
Yep.
I mean, when you get Dan Annable, what else did they get? Did they get much else?
They got Cody Curtin, who's going to be sort of been compared to Harris Andrews because he doesn't really have that speed or athleticism proper. But he's going to be seen as either a swingman, similar to sort of like a Zane Zakostowski that they took a couple years ago late in the draft. Obviously, the brother of Dan Curtin at Adelaide. Could just develop nicely for a few years and won't need to play because they've still got him.
He's in, you know what's scary? He's in Ty Gallop range. He's in Ty Gallop range. And if you know anything about Ty Gallop and how he finished up his last season, or his first season, sorry, it's just one to look out for. But obviously the headliner is Dan Annable. He's not going to get a game, but it's more the fact
He
that
could, though.
he could get a couple games. A lot of people have said that if he was drafted to any other team, he would be playing. He would be playing, no worries. It's just because it's the Brisbane Lions Academy and it's the back-to-back premiers that he's backing up. He's going to get put in every now and then to get himself some AFL experience, but he probably won't see many games in his first season. I guess the reason he's put so high, or Brisbane have been put so high despite that scenario, is the fact that, like, Brisbane got pick 6. The back-to-back premiers got pick 6.
Yep.
And they couldn't possibly mess it up. It's a good haul.
They've got arguably
It's a great haul.
They've got arguably the 2 most ready-made players in the last 2 drafts in Levi Ashcroft and Dan Annable.
Yeah.
The rest of their draft didn't accept a bid on Tyne Prindable, which makes sense. Forward midfielder, already got Zach Bailey, already got Cam Rayner. Like, they don't really need that prototype at all.
Yeah.
They got in, as I said, Cody Curtin. Did a little trade to move up, which they drafted Kobe Evans, which also is a forward midfielder, which is interesting, but he's sort of that bigger body compared to Brindable, so could replace a Lincoln McCarthy or a Charlie Cameron in the future. And that's also got Ty Hayes, I believe the nephew of Lenny Hayes, but he is also a mature aged recruit.
Yes,
Born in 2004.
Yeah,
So
from the VFL too, so a little bit
Yeah.
of professional experience in there as well.
yeah, so bigger body to replace maybe a Josh Dunkley theoretically if he gets injured.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean overall positive draft for them. Got a couple later players and obviously got a top 5 pick, which is why they're in good haul.
If they had somehow smashed out, dude, could you imagine if they somehow picked up Ollie Greaves as well?
Don't
It
get
was
me
there
started.
on the table. There must
Don't
be
get me started.
something. There must be something that
I'm
pushed
so
those guys.
I'm so confused. Teams, I understand the prototype of why Greaves fell because he's a slow, not really running defensively midfielder. But you can have one of those in your team.
Yeah.
It's how you complement them with other midfielders. Brisbane have arguably the best complementary midfielders outside of that. So if they could have gone for him, it would have been the most insane draft.
And why not
ever.
throw a pick
100%.
at a risky
100%.
pick like that when
Yeah.
you have all that like backup? It's not fair. But that's a bit besides the point. Now we go to Richmond at the spot number 6.
Yeah, both have it.
This was one you could talk about Richmond, I reckon, for a good while because of one of their picks and how happy you are. But their first pick was Sam Cumming, which I kind of found surprising. I knew he was up there and he was going to get picked high, but I thought Grill would get the pick before him. I thought Roby would get the pick before him. There were a couple of players I thought would get snuck in there before Cumming, but Cumming is not a bad pick whatsoever. A lot of the players they have picked up here have a very similar type. They're all in a somewhat similar vein. They're all within that low to mid 180 range in height. 3 or 4 of them are midfielders as well. But when you're a club like Richmond who's looking to just build as much young talent as you possibly can, I don't really see a problem with them bulking up on potential depth
100%.
pieces.
Yeah.
So Sam Cumming, Sam Grill could be those for the future.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they just complement what they've got.
Yeah.
And I thought going for Cumming and Roby or Cumming and Sharp or whatever just wouldn't complement it, which is why I was so strong on Grill. Ended up happening. Suck it. In the comments, I was getting flamed for it. Don't care. Shove it up where the sun don't shine. Also got Zane Piker later in the draft and Noah Roberts-Thompson, who is related to Lewis Roberts-Thompson.
I
from Sydney.
thought so. I
Yeah.
was so certain. I remember him back in the day too. I knew Lewis Roberts-Thompson.
So overall for Richmond, pretty good. But when you consider not their fault, but started with picks 3 and 4, ended up with 7 and 8. I also think they could have traded up a little bit later to get someone like another defender. I feel like someone like Max Kondoyanis could have been an absolute option for them to replace Nathan Broad and Nick Floston. I just feel like they could have done something.
Maybe
more.
their idea is they're not trying to replace Floston.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, I think Richmond still fantastic. Little haul for them. They've done very well. Next up, we split off again. I'll start with mine. I went with Carlton for this next spot. I think while it is a positive that they got Harry Dean, they picked him up at 3, obviously meaning that they had to put a bit more into his bid. And a lot of what they did this year wasn't just a this year move.
Okay.
And I'll explain a little bit of that for the viewers. I talked to you a little bit about this in the planning stage, but Harry Dean, of course, was one they wanted to pick up. I think when you're looking for key position players, he was very far and away the best one. Key defender, going to be fantastic next to Jacob Wiedering. Going to get game straight away. Probably going to be one of my early on Rising Star finalists. I think it's going to be hard for him to win it because defenders in any award always get
they just don't
stiffed
have
a bit.
that aura around.
It's not
them.
even aura. Because Harris Andrews, I would argue, has that aura.
Yeah, but like as a draft day, you're
They
not
don't
getting
show
20
up on
touches.
the stats.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Murphy Reid had aura last year.
Yeah, the 4 goals in however many minutes he kicked it.
Ollie Dempsey had aura the year before.
Yeah, exactly. If you get it, you get it. But on the other hand, Jack Eisen falling so far as he did made up for the fact they went up so high, in a sense, for Harry Dean.
Okay.
And of course, they had their trades to trade back.
Yeah.
With the picks 9 and picks 11. They gave them to North Melbourne for 11. And who was 9 again? Essendon. That's right. They gave them to those guys. The reason being so, and the reason they wanted so many future draft picks back, is for next year. Cody Walker. And that's why I kind of give them a bit of credit because they're basically working with 2 drafts in this one night. They obviously need to try and find the future picks available to be able to bid for him when he comes around. And obviously, we're speaking literally a year ahead from now, but they are potentially seeing him going in the top 5 already. Obviously, things could change. You never know what's going to happen. If he gets an injury, he may fall a bit, and they won't need to worry too much about bringing up the bids. But Cody Walker has had a lot of talk already. Everyone's put him on the map already, and considering that draft is looking already to be a little bit more impressive from early stages, it's expected that they're going to need to start now.
Yeah,
building up that base. And I think over the night they got a couple of second rounders for the future drafts.
Yeah, they did get a couple. So they've got 2 firsts, 3 seconds, and a third.
Yeah, and the fact they managed to deal with an early bid in Harry Dean and get luck out a little bit with the Jack Eisen Academy pick, it evened itself out in a way. I think it still probably hurt them a bit because going up from pick 8 to pick 3
is a fair jump.
There's a fair few points involved with that than however many Jack Eisen fell from.
Yeah, 100%.
I think Carlton did a fantastic job in both picking up the players they wanted and working with the hand they got given to look forward.
Yeah, I had Sydney in my 7th spot. I just think got Harry Kyle early, was seen as a real bolter. We're able to bid on him. Started with 2 picks in the 30s, and they ended up with, what did they have in the end? They had pick 14, 35, 42, and 49. Picked up Jevon Philippou as well, who I think has real upside. Won't play, in my opinion, too much early, but can sit in the VFL for a couple of years and then will really just jump onto the scene as sort of Tom Papley fades away in that mould.
Yep.
Whereas a small forward midfielder, he's got real bounce out of stoppage. Like if you were to watch his highlights and you're watching him, he can just take a couple steps and he just dodges traffic really well. Billy Cooter's going to be a mature age pickup. He's 23. So obviously is a mid forward, probably more of a short-term answer. And then Max King, they got late, who was seen as a top 20 talent early on in the year. Again, probably going to take a couple of years to play. Harry Kyle, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets in early due to the fact that they lost Ollie Florent. And then I think overall it was just a really solid draft where they were able to get enough. Didn't really need Lockie Carmichael that early because it opened up spots for them this late to get in some good players.
Yeah, I think very much agreed for the most part. I've got Sydney in my next pick. So, yeah, for most of the reasons you gave as well. To mention as well, on the theme of academies, 2 out of 4 of these picks were academy players. Harry Kyle and Max King. A lot of talk about Max King early on as a really high up, but he started to fall as the year went on, just couldn't keep up with the play, it seemed. But Harry Kyle, yeah, like you said, most likely going to get games very early, if not from game 1, because of the fact that they're probably the weakest on their forward and back line. Their midfield's fine. So Jevon will probably learn to be more of that forward bursting player with this team than he would be as a midfield rotational piece. But hey, if he starts to impress in the forward line, he may earn himself some midfield. And from all accounts, he is a very, very motivated player.
Yeah, he thinks he's number 1.
Exactly.
So, drop to 35, maybe it's a Draymond Green situation. Who knows?
Potentially. That would be fun.
I have North at my 8. I just think when you consider they started off with picks 25 and 26, got in 15, and even though they traded away future second, which means absolutely nothing for them, getting in a really good small forward in Lockie Doverston and still getting Blake Threadgold, I think is really important. They were pretty strong in not getting one in the off-season, and they still ended up getting one. So their list management maybe got a bit wrong there, but got what they needed to in the end, filled their 2 biggest list needs, and did pretty well. I think there's an argument here to go slightly higher, but I'm not going to get to them.
Yeah. I could talk for a bit about these guys. I've had
Keep it short and sharp.
I've had a way of doing so in the past.
You were very, very strong on being disappointed early.
Early, yes. Let me clarify.
Yes.
We had Blake Threadgold going at 15, Lockie Doverson's spot, because of the need for someone like Blake Threadgold in that team. Oh, I had a really, really rough reaction to them picking Lockie Doverston in the initial moments because I thought, we have Paul Curtis already. Sure, Doverston, I think my issue wasn't with his skill, it was with his positioning. He needs to make himself really available in that forward line. He needs to be pretty good to get himself a spot there, despite the fact that we're playing guys like Constantine and stuff. Clarko seems to really like their knack, so he likes to use them as a bit of a rotation piece. So I thought, how is Doverston going to get himself involved early when we could have picked up someone like Threadgold and he would have gotten himself a spot pretty early? So Thread Gold, glad that we eventually got him at 26. Very happy he fell that far. I was worried the Dogs were going to steal him, but they ended up going Carmichael. So really, really happy with North's overall pick up there. And so that's why I actually put them in my next pick as well. So thank you, North Melbourne. Brady Rawlings, maybe you keep your job for another year. Thank you, mate.
I probably shouldn't still have his job, but
yeah, there's an argument for that too.
Yeah, I had Carlton in this next spot. Talked about them a fair bit as well. Who did you have here?
So yeah, in that spot I had North Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah, I mean for Carlton overall decent. Didn't do anything amazing, but also obviously partly due to the Harry Dean bid, didn't fail in any manner.
Yeah, exactly.
Melbourne.
I was going to say Melbourne. I was going to say we're at the midpoint, but we're still
Yeah.
talking fairly positively, which goes to tell you the leniency we've got with these guys.
Yeah.
But Melbourne, we're both in agreement with this.
Didn't go best talent available, so obviously went for Latrell Pickett in an attempt to go for Cozzy. I feel like you had someone in that position who was better, younger, and has more upside. Obviously, being Lockie Doverston. Xavier Taylor, big fan.
If
I
they
think he
didn't
pairs
get
really
Xavier
nicely.
Taylor, they could be for average. Absolutely.
I just felt like you had 2 first-round picks next year, and obviously next year's a better draft. But I feel like there's going to be a bit of uncertainty about that, and also it's fairly like you're going to have a couple players protected in that top end of the draft when you're not going to be very good. Gold Coast aren't going to be good are going to be very good, so their pick is not going to be very good. Could you have used it to trade up? I had that in our mock draft. I feel like someone that would have been available there would have been an absolute steal. Even picking up an Ollie Greaves. I know there's a bit of fear about, obviously, his position being Clayton Oliver-esque.
Yeah.
I just feel like best talent available would have been a much better pick.
Well, the problem is, and we've seen it already with Stephen King now at the helm, he's got a game style he's trying to implement, which is fast, quick, wing to wing, forward to back forward play. Ollie Greaves, from all accounts of what we've said here, does not fit that.
No.
So I don't know.
Agreed.
I understand that you said that there's ways you can complement
He
a player
also
like
did
that.
trade in Jack Steele.
Yes. Yes, you make a good point too. I guess the idea of leadership, but then you could argue Clayton Oliver, why is he gone? Stuff like that. There's questions. There's questions for sure. But at least for a lot, even for the Latrell Pickett pick, right, that we were surprised by, you can understand. You can get it. Hence why I've still got him in good haul. Especially because Xavier Taylor. Xavier Taylor is the thing that puts me
They
over the
still
line.
got good talent, but I feel like it could have been better. Hence why they're not in absolute winners, and they're low down in the good haul.
Yeah.
I don't have anyone else in good haul.
I put Adelaide in good haul because I think, when it comes to who they did end up getting, they still got some nice talent.
Yeah.
Mitch Marsh is one that I really, really liked them picking up, as well as Archie Ludwig, because he fell so far from where we all expected him. So many players, or so many people, even comments were saying, I'd love to pick up an Archie Ludwig at one of these top 30 picks where he's kind of being
100%.
projected. So the fact he fell to 50, and think about it, Tex is probably their biggest need in terms of replacing.
Mm-hmm.
You just picked up 2 key forwards.
Well, and that's why I don't have them in good haul. I've got them in my first spot in average.
Yeah.
Simply because they got 2 key forwards, but they already have Riley Thornthorpe and Darcy Fogarty, right?
Yeah.
You also didn't fill your biggest list need. They did get Archie. I understand that in the rookie draft. But I just feel like you could have gone. Obviously, they did try to trade up for Dyson Chop. I still feel like there was someone else they could have gone for there.
I would argue, while they did attempt to trade up, why trade up in a draft that has so many questions for talent, for potential? Why trade up in that one? And sure, you could say that the reason I'm putting them in good haul is due to their own lack of hubris. Right. The fact that Adelaide have picked out a spot to replace, picked 2 players, somehow lucked into one that was expected top 30 at 50, they're looking to replace that spot. Why not wait to replace those other spots next year? And they'll still, presumably, they're going to still be in that premiership window, despite all the people predicting them to fall outside the 8. They're still considered in a premiership window.
Yeah, my only concern is they didn't fill their biggest list need, got 2 of the same players. There's every chance Mitch Marsh doesn't become a key defender and becomes like a bigger Mike Blitzives-esque type player.
Yeah.
But I just feel like they could have gone for something else. and they just didn't,
Yeah.
which is why I have them in average.
For sure. My first pick for average was GWS because I got Oscar Taylor.
I've got them in my second, which is
Yeah.
the exact same spot. Adelaide and GWS are both in the same spot. Same as the Bulldogs, same
It's
as
just,
Geelong.
some of them are,
Yeah.
I think the only
Yeah.
difference is Adelaide for me is in good haul, for you is in average. That's the
Yeah.
only difference. But
Yeah.
Oscar Taylor, nice pickup.
Mhm.
In terms of best available talent, that's what they got him for.
Yeah.
And could
Finnegan
be really,
Davis.
really nice. And Finnegan Davis as well.
Yeah,
Both
don't
who
know
are
anything
looking
about it, but
from what it looks like, they're both being picked up as guys to help
Mhm.
with just their rebound push.
Yeah.
They're just going all
Or
in this
tsunami.
tsunami thing.
Yeah,
They're just
yeah,
going
100%.
all in. And
I-
then pick 59, Jake Stringer.
number one pick.
Don't know anything about
Let's
this
go.
bloke.
Yeah, literally don't care about him. I mean, Oscar Taylor, I had him go into them early, but at the same time, it's just another player like who's going to fit their role. It's not going to add them too much
Yep.
else.
It's not a bad pick, don't
No,
get us wrong,
no.
but it's
Yeah.
bang average. It
Yeah,
sure is bang average.
Absolutely.
Same goes with the Dogs.
Yeah, the Dogs. I actually quite like it. I feel like there's an argument to be higher, but at the same time, they didn't go for a defender, so they didn't fill any of their obviously Lockie Carmichael can play halfback, but they didn't go for what they need, which is a genuine lockdown defender.
I was thanking the Lord they did not pick up Thread Gold.
100%. I'm surprised that they didn't go for it. I don't mind the Louis Emmett pick, but I feel like even a different ruckman, John T. Ford, was very high on Marcus Krasnodemskis. He saw him as the best ruckman. Sort of same. Replace the Tim English in a few years, maybe. But aside from that, they just didn't do what they needed to do. Which
They
is fill
picked
in
up
their
Will
list spot.
Darcy. Maybe they're thinking is Will Darcy's just going to lock down the spot.
He's probably going to be developed into another key forward for all we know. they took Jordan Croft last year, who's going to be a key forward by all looks of things.
Oh my God, yeah, Jordan Croft was great
So,
fun to watch
you
earlier.
know, I mean, I just don't get half of it, to be honest.
Yeah, look, Dogs.
I like the Carmichael thing. Got lucky that Sydney didn't accept the bid on him, but
Yeah.
Louis Emmett.
They
again,
probably would
wasn't-
have got
wasn't
Thread
the
Gold
need.
if Sydney
Yeah.
didn't pick that up. So,
Yeah.
I think, God, I'm still thinking in North perspective. Thank
Shut
God.
up. No, we don't want to hear it.
Next up, though, for both of us, Geelong.
Yeah. I mean, took Harley Barker, going to take a little bit to recover from his ACL, but they don't need him to play early.
Exactly.
And then I don't even remember who they took elsewhere.
Yeah, but you've got the Harley Barker one spot on for me.
Yeah.
Harley Barker, really, really nice talent. A lot of people still expect him to be a high-end
Hunter
talent.
Holmes.
It's just they get to wait
Yeah.
a little bit for him, and realistically, they can
Yeah.
do so. They can wait on
They
that
took
bloke.
Max Holmes' brother, who's just going to develop for a couple of years.
like
first.
literal definition of a bang average draft. But again,
Yeah.
not in a bad way. I
No.
think, they've picked the upside.
They don't need much.
They've picked the upside out of two blokes.
Yeah.
That don't need to play straight away. Good
Mhm.
stuff for Geelong.
Yeah.
And then for both of us, next up, St Kilda.
Yep. I mean, took Kai Fincher, who's part of the NDA, took Charlie Banfield, who's going to be Mason Wood replacement, and then took Ryan Burns, the GOAT. Could you believe 5 years ago he was drafted higher than what he was redrafted at?
Nice. Let's go, Ryan.
What a GOAT. My
What a goat. Oh, my God.
Can't wait for him to play 23 games of AFL level this year. Gonna absolutely love that.
It's just clear that,
Didn't
St
start
Kilda,
with
St
anything.
Kilda did all their off-season work. They
Yeah.
don't need
They-
to worry about the draft.
Exactly. Didn't need anything. Didn't get anything.
They got Naz. They're happy.
Yeah. I have Collingwood in my average. You do not.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're going to have did nothing and Port Adelaide next.
Yeah.
So don't need to talk too much about that, given they were the first team ever to not take a national draft pick. But a little bit about Collingwood, I think they took 4 young players, and for such an old fucking list, it's not that bad.
It really isn't. Yeah, I
It's
get
not
what
that
you're
bad.
saying, but
I like the Tyne Prindable pick. I like the Swaddling pick. He was really, really good at Waffle Colts level. Zach McCarthy, they got late as part of their NGA when people thought he could have been a top 30 prospect, and he's just going to place that ruck forward role. Probably won't play much this year, but will for further on. And then, I mean, I think they just got some decent talent.
my problem is a
overall.
lot of their aging talent is coming from outside. Like you've got your winger Jack Crisp, you've got the likes of,
Sidebottom
you've got the
Pendlebury.
likes of Sidebottom, Pendles who gets
Yeah.
in the middle. So they've got some midfield picks in there.
My
But
biggest
then I'm
concern,
thinking Jeremy Howe.
yeah, Kondo Giannis would have been a perfect spot at that first
Yeah,
pick for
I
them.
feel like there's some players in here. The only thing that I could see pushing them to average is Tyne Prindable. The
Mm.
fact they managed to get him, I think, is something they can look at positively. But yeah, I just call them losers in this scenario because it's very obvious that they're getting to they're aging out in a
Mhm.
sense, and they would really, really like to rely on some consistent midfielders.
Yeah.
And considering Ned Long is one that kind of was in this same range in that draft, and he has been pretty inconsistent to start his career.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, what would have been a safe pick for these guys? I don't know if Brindable necessarily is that safe pick. I don't even know if it's possible to find a safe pick for these guys.
No,
so maybe everything was against
safe.
them in that sense. But I think there were definitely some players that they could have taken a risk on. Hell, even try and find some positional players to try and take over the likes of Jeremy Howe. Because Jeremy Howe, for the poor bloke, he just can't stay healthy. And you'd like to try and find some replacement in there somewhere.
They clearly must think someone on their list is going to do it.
Exactly right.
They didn't have it last year, though. So the question is there. Understandable, I had them in losers.
Yeah.
I had Fremantle as my main loser, though.
Yeah, I for me, Freo, we're both unanimous on the Freo being the last, technically, here.
Yeah.
Because Adam Swade is an exciting player, don't get me wrong. When I heard the comparisons to Dion Prestia, I'm like, oh, that could be really good for a team. But Freo is not that team.
Nope. Already got Caleb Serong, he's not going to push out because he's not going to be better than Caleb Serong. Andy Brayshaw's already there. They're going to have Neil Erasmus, who's played there. Matthew Johnson played in there at times. And Hayden Young's there. And Che Bolton plays in there at times. There's just no room for him. And so I just really questioned why they would go for this player when there was an option for them to go for
God,
an
they needed Latrell Pickett. If it came to it, this would have been Latrell Pickett.
Even just an outside running wingman, I thought could have been really important to replace James Aish.
Yeah.
I just thought someone like that. Obviously, you got in Judd McVeigh last year, this year in the offseason, so didn't really need that halfback flanker anymore. But an outside winger to replace Aish would have been the perfect pick, and they didn't go for him. Yep. I just think they needed more run, and Adam Swade is not that.
Exactly right. And then the other one was Tobin Murray. We don't know enough about Tobin Murray, but it's a mature age pick, born in 2005 compared to the 07s that most are. Came from the VFL at Geelong Cats, so maybe he's got himself a nice base to work on. But again, that forward line is already brought up with Bolton in rotation, Switkowski, Dudley, and so it's Frederick. Yeah, you don't see how either of these guys make it. Yeah. And considering Freo is stuck in the middle ground, God, they need someone else to make it. Look, the positive on all of these guys that we've been a bit more negative on is that it is a bad draft. Mm-hmm. It is, presumably, who knows? Maybe they end up being a fantastic draft. But, yeah, from all accounts, it's not the biggest of deals.
No.
You'd hope, though, that Freo did a little more. There was ways they could improve it. But,
that's it.
The last one was just Port Adelaide. If you didn't know it already, if you hadn't looked up, Port Adelaide did absolutely nothing.
Hence why we're not going to talk about them for anything.
Absolutely nothing. They suck. But, yeah, not much more needs to be said.
Nope.
It's been fantastic covering the draft from the lead up to the aftermath. And we appreciate you guys tuning in and watching us. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the Zero Access Footy channel. Nearly at 300 subs. Would be fantastic to hit that before the end of the year. So, appreciate you guys tuning in, staying watched. Thank you again, Bem, for joining me once again. And we'll hopefully see you all next week for, I believe, our final recap of season 2025.
Episode 40.
Episode 40, baby.
You know, we're not going to say that. That sounded creepy. Anyway, see ya.
See ya.